You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
What up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis here. We are... Salvatore Kuzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. Today is an interesting day. First, I want to say thank you to all the people that listen, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Go to irepodcast.com. Go ahead and go to Facebook.com/IRE Podcast if you want to see us live. We don't look that great, I promise. And so today is an interesting day. Today is the day after Election Day, right, guys? And we still don't have a winner. I think I wanted to write in names when I voted yesterday. It was really fucking hard, but and we did something hilarious by complete accident. So when I book the show, or I ask people to be on the show, or people want to be on the show, I send them over to Natalie, and Natalie kind of does it all, right? And by chance, we got Mr. Dylan Tent on the show today, and Mr. Dylan Tent obviously is a little outspoken politically, so we tend to stay pretty neutral here. I like to think everybody's idiots personally. So, you know what I mean? I think they're all just equally fucked up, but that's just, my take on it. So I wanted to bring up Mr. Dylan Tent. How are you, sir? You look tired. I know you've been watching Fox News all night. Right?
It was a stressful evening and morning.
Yeah.
I woke up at 4 a.m. just to check what was going on. Obviously, you don't see anything, but it's affecting your sleep. I thought this one would have been easier than last time.
You are being affected by this. Brad looks tired. He's got some baggage under his eyes. Brad is probably on the other side of the spectrum. This caucus that we have set up here is probably indicative of the nation as a whole. You've got a couple indifferents. You've got a couple staunch on either side. But the reality of where we're at today is we're very divided, unfortunately. But the beauty of this show, Mr. Tent, is that everybody is entitled to their opinion, and we still love each other just the same way. It doesn't fucking matter. I love Brad no matter how bad he looks. I love Dylan no matter anything, right? It doesn't matter. That's the difference, I think. I wish the world would kind of just respect people's opinions, because everybody can be wrong at any point. Right, Dylan?
You can love everybody except for Governor Whitmer.
Oh, Christ. Okay. All right. Right off the bat, huh? We're just going to go in hard right off the bat, huh?
Well,
well, hold on. Let me preface you a little bit, okay, Dylan? So for those of you that don't know Dylan, he's been on the show a couple times. If you want to know about his story, it's awesome. He's a great agent, great friend of the show. Dylan, how have you been since the last time we had you on?
You know what? This year's been great for me, actually. I never stopped working during the lockdown. I ended up switching to selling PPE for a little while because people didn't want you in their houses.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I made a couple bucks doing it. It was fun.
Yeah. You assimilated. You found an opportunity in the chaos.
Yeah, just a friend of mine, actually a guy that I sold 6 houses to, he ends up buying a sports car during the lockdown. I'm like, how'd that happen? He's like, well, I started selling N95 masks. I was like, well, do you have any more?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I was like, well, so I just started calling everybody that I knew that had any organization that would need this, which is, and every organization on earth right now needs, masks and hand sanitizer. And I'd be the only guy that would go in there saying, I don't think this works. I don't think you need to wear a mask. I think it's idiotic, but you're going to need this. So why don't you buy it from me?
The hypocrisy is heavy, my dude.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. It's not hypocrisy if I'm saying, I'm saying, hey, I don't want to wear this. I don't think you should have to. I don't think you should even have to buy it, but you might as well buy it from me.
Yeah, and Brad feels the same way about condoms.
Yeah. And I got 3 kids.
Yeah. You pulling and praying does not work for you, bud.
No.
Yeah. So Dylan, let's start with your real estate, and obviously, listen. Obviously, we've had a weird year, 2020. From a real estate standpoint, there are kind of the people that kind of found ways to trudge through it, and we have found other people that are just kind of falling on deals. What did you do other than the PPE part to kind of set yourself up so that you didn't have a down year? Because I know we were talking, your year's probably going to be flat from last year, or roughly around that, right? Which
and
I think Go ahead.
When it was February and March, I looked at myself and I said, if I just do half as good as I did last year, I'll be psyched, with knowing that you're taking 3 months off.
Right.
And obviously 2 weeks to flatten the curve turns into you guys are locked down until nobody's ever going to die again. But yeah, so we ended up, what I did during the lockdown was I made market analysis for every house that I'd ever sold, whether it was a buyer or seller, shipped it in the mail. I did a ton of business off of that. Since we've last talked, a business partner and I bought 2 Airbnb rental properties on all sports lakes. And since nobody could go on vacations internationally, we had every single day booked all year. Even to almost today, we have guests in there that are, renting the houses, and then we put pontoon boats on there, and we actually make just about as much money on the pontoon boats as we do the house during the rentals, because you take a house for $200-300 a day, and then you rent the boat for $200 a day, and these are $200,000-300,000 houses on lakes. So, but it's been fun running little hotels over the summer.
Yeah. It's funny, Sal, we have people that we know that are doing that. The Airbnb market, especially here in Michigan, I don't know about the rest of the country. It's hard to find a good Airbnb that isn't booked, right? Because everybody wants to kind of get out of town. We look for Airbnbs and we booked like way early, but then that same Airbnb was like almost like a 50% increase in how much it costs had we booked it later on.
Yeah.
Sal, we got a buddy of ours that's doing that, and he's doing pretty well. So that's interesting. Like, what do you see for the Airbnb market, Sal? Like, are you seeing more people buying Airbnbs right now? Because in Michigan, I feel like it's a thing. I don't know about other places.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously, that's caught on to be a very lucrative investment, right? And it has been for years for many people. I think that there's definitely a lot of risk depending on where you do it. Certain counties and certain cities up north potentially could outlaw them based upon whatever may happen, right? Kids go on a boat drunk and crash into another boat, and they find out they're in Airbnb, and now all of a sudden the city's up in arms or something like that, right? But ultimately, I mean, it's still real property. It's not like some company you invested in that went under or anything like that. So I think that model is here to stay. I don't see that going anywhere as long as people are able to buy property and rent them out short term and doing that, daily rentals, things of that sort, instead of having a year-long tenant or a summer-long tenant. It's just easy. I mean, it's just indicative, I think, of our economy and the way things, the gig economy almost, right? It's you can rent it for a day, right? Why would you buy it? Why would you lease it for months or years or whatever, right? Just do it for a day. So I think the appetite's strong on both sides, right? Do you want to go and do you want to stay in some dumpy motel up north, or do you want to stay in an awesome house?
Yeah. It's funny, Dylan. A lot of people are saying, the rental market's going to take a hit because, renters might potentially are having problems paying their rent. But this is kind of an ancillary part of the rental market that people like. It's almost like a silent part of the rental market, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's not like people are worried about rent because there's policies or say you don't have to pay and we can't evict you right now. But I don't have to evict anybody because they're leaving in 4 days, and regardless.
Right.
And I've had zero problems. I've had one person. The only problem I've had all summer is one person tried to pull my boat off of the dock with it still hooked up, and ripped the dock out of the ground and fucked my propeller up on my boat. It cost $200, but I mean, the people were booking the boat for a week, so you're making $200 a day on the boat. I didn't even charge them for the propeller. I just said, hey, be careful next time.
Yeah. You're already making the revenue. You already kind of have that baked in when you have one of those spots, right?
Yeah.
Does your place get fucked up because you've got so many not weirdos, but random people?
No, it's not like a cheap place, but it's not expensive.
Right.
And people are generally really respectful. And I live close by, and that's the thing. If anybody's listening and they're thinking about doing this, if you think it's very easy to book these Airbnbs, but if you don't live close by, your life is going to be becoming managing somebody else's vacation, because when the boat gets messed up or it doesn't start or somebody kills the battery, it's a very low income activity for me to run over there and charge the battery on the boat. But I also can't pay somebody $200 to go change the battery out because, as we
got to be hands on to keep the revenue.
Like
right?
I believe that my time is worth more per hour than that, you know,
Right.
But also, when you have to find somebody to do something last minute, like the first week we had the Airbnb, the dishwasher broke. We've had a flood in one of them.
Right.
I end up having to do a lot of stuff that is.
It is labor intensive. I mean, you are a landlord on some level, right? And if it's far away from your home, unless you have a managing company doing it and you have multiple and you've got that revenue stream that you can absorb it, to your point, you got to be hands-on, right?
You need 4 of them, in my opinion, 4 of them to hire a management company, or it's not going to be worth the time and the money overall.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I've never really thought of Airbnb as being like a Michigan type thing. I guess I underestimated. I always thought it would be like a tropical, like Florida, California, like
massive
actual vacation destinations. But like, I mean, Michigan, I never even thought about looking at Airbnbs in Michigan. That's kind of crazy.
Even like people that are coming in town, like somebody's like getting a surgery today.
Yep.
They flew in for whatever, and they rented my place because it's on the water in it. So it's not like prime time boat. So I lower my rental rate by like 40 or 50% in the winter, but we still book it just like a hotel. And I live in Waterford and right by the airport, so there's not a lot of hotels over there, and the ones that are kind of dumpy. And people would much rather pay $100 a night to look out at my lake and live in a house than they would, in the Motel 6 or whatever.
Sal, real quick, I don't want to take too much time on this, but are a lot of these Airbnbs second homes that people? Let's say I bought a second home in Northern California, Northern Michigan, sorry, and it's my second home, it's my cottage, and then I turn it into an Airbnb. Technically, that isn't classified as a rental from the statistical standpoint. Do you think a lot of these second homes are turning into Airbnbs? Are they actually being designated as rentals? Do they have to be designated as rentals when you buy them, Sal?
Well, I think there's things you got to take into account when you're buying one, right? Having the correct insurance is obviously something you want to keep in mind, right? Like if you're buying one of these and you can, right? Let's say you own your home down here, you rent or whatever, you can buy a second home with 10% down on a mortgage up north, right?
Right.
And that can be your intent. No one's going to ask or say anything about it, right? But if you do rent it out, right? Or end up flipping it to an Airbnb, you got to make sure you have the right insurance, renter's insurance, things of that sort. That
really good insurance.
But I guess my question is, as a let's say I know I'm buying it as an Airbnb, but I tell you as the loan officer it's a second home, right? Is that not allowed? Right? I guess that's my question. Is that like a gray area?
Well, per the guidelines, right? And I think it's kind of underwriter discretion. I mean, if you're buying a house right next to another second home you have, of course, I mean, that's going to probably be looked at and bashed down, right? But there's no limits on the amount of second homes you can buy and finance. And the guidelines say that the property can have a tenant in it. Right, you can't use any of the income from that if you want to finance it as a second home, and that would probably be only in the situation of a refi. But technically, you only have to occupy it for some time of the year, not defined.
Is it 180 days? I think it is, right?
Nope.
Or what?
That's what it used to be. It's just you have to occupy it for some amount of time to technically finance it as a second home. So if you stayed there one weekend of the year, technically that would count as a second home, right? So.
Wow, look at this. Airbnb plans IPO in December and will seek to raise about $3 billion.
For what?
For having a fucking platform where people can Airbnb their houses. Why is Uber so expensive? That's the crazy thing about our economy.
Crazy to me.
Yeah, but,
what does Airbnb really do other than provide the platform?
Well, Dylan, why don't you talk about what Airbnb provides?
Yeah, what do they do?
They just collect money, but make it easy to book.
That's it.
Right. They provide the platform. That's crazy.
With $3 billion, they could purchase premier properties across the world as their own and rent them out and make money there and on the booking fees, right? I mean, I just got destroyed by Airbnb on a rental that I booked for New Year's down in the Bahamas, right? All their restrictions changed. You need a COVID test. You need to apply for a COVID visa, blah, blah, blah. And we just decided to call it, right? And we were like, I messaged the host, all these new things are in play. And we would hope, if you're reasonable. I mean, the cancellation fee was 50%, right? So I just said if they don't want to do it, we'll probably just play it by ear. But they ended up giving us 100% refund of their fees, which was awesome, right? I'll definitely book with them again once all this shit's over. But Airbnb kept $500. We never stayed, All
Beautiful model. They get paid no matter what. They get paid no matter what.
They kept four, and I call them. I'm like, dude, that's a little nuts, don't you think? I mean, I never stayed there. I mean, the host is the one who suffered, not me.
Do something.
Not you. Technically, as Airbnb, they're like, well, yeah, piss off. It was in the it was in the things, and to that point, fair, right? But it is.
Last thing I'll say about it. Listen,
I can understand them keeping $500 if it was like a short notice cancellation and they like wouldn't be able to rebook it or whatever.
I mean,
but a 2-month. I mean, they did provide the platform. They let you find the Airbnb, right? And they're not going to be able to rebook that for the person. But with a 2-month lead time,
they'll rebook it.
Crazy.
They'll rebook
it. It's crazy that they're not refunding it back to you.
All right, enough about Airbnb. But like the bottom line is, it's a real thing. Airbnbs are a real thing, and I'm interested in the rental numbers in the measuring of like what's going on.
It's like Uber. I mean, yeah. I mean, taxis are gone. Uber's in, and except for select spots.
Look at Dylan. Look at Dylan counting delegates.
Well, Michigan just got shaded in blue from red on Fox.
Oh, really? That's a big deal. Well, I mean, that's breaking news, everybody. Biden has won the election. Is that what you just said?
No. It's going to be contested. This is going to court. This is not
So over. Let's talk about that actually. Like the effect that you think that this could have because the country's fucking divided, dude. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's visceral on both polar sides, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like the veracity of people's emotions over this. I think it's like, chill out, dude. Either way, your life is gonna if Biden is president tomorrow or Trump is president tomorrow, you still have to wake up and go do X, Y, and Z, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ultimately, what people don't maybe understand is the president. Yeah, in theory, things happen, but let's be honest. Ultimately, when it comes to your life, you gotta protect your own. Yeah, you know what I mean. You got to figure out your own. Nobody's gonna give you anything. We're not a socialist country yet, right? Although people are trying to move it that way.
Yeah.
As far as I know, we are a capitalistic society where capitalism will always win. Meaning, you can write your own check and create whatever life you want to live, which is the beauty of the United States. To be honest with you guys. The beauty of the United States, I've been to other countries. They don't have the opportunity we do. But on the other hand, it's kind of hard when you don't feel like the politics in the country really represent you in a whole. I think there's a big population of people that are being forced to choose between two options that maybe they don't totally agree with either way. You know what I mean? But you still have to choose one of them. But do you think the polarization of the country is going to cause any issues in the real? Let's say Biden wins, hypothetically, right? And what does that do to the real estate market? What happens if Trump wins to the real estate market? Do you have any feelings on that?
So regardless of if the tax plans that they're talking about go through, it's going to be, tricky for real estate just because, capital gains, right? I think that, if you raise the capital gains and you reduce the corporate tax things that we have going on, I certainly would be pulling money out of the markets, right? I mean, real estate's always going to be a good investment, but if you de-incentivize the people from buying it, that can't be good. And that they're also talking about doing a 3% annual tax on your house.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
think about California, where the Bay Area, where average loan size is 1.5 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. So that's where, I mean, just right there, and then we live in Michigan where there's a ton of manufacturing. Manufacturing has gone, way up in Michigan in the last 4 years. And that's the stuff I can't physically believe that we could possibly lose in Michigan with how much manufacturing has come back here.
Well, isn't it weird when you look at the map, guys, from a national standpoint, and you see how much of the country is, let's say, red, right? And then you see how much of the country is blue. And you're like, man, if you just look at the map, you're like, or even from state by state, right? Most states, you get the big city rural areas where are going Dems.
Yeah.
Right? but you have like Michigan, right? You look at Michigan, you've got like Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Traverse City, and Detroit area, right?
Yeah.
Other than Macomb County, going to Biden. But then you got the rest of the state going with Trump. And I'll ask Brad this because he's on the other side of the spectrum. Do you feel, Brad, that the electoral college is indicative of what the nation in as a whole wants or needs, or do you think it's like a broken system?
It's a broken system. The electoral college sucks. I mean, it can get close. It worked years and years ago, potentially, right? But it sucks. It's a horrible system. It really is. It's stupid.
But in theory, it gives.
In theory, it could work, but it doesn't. The theory is broken.
The theory is broken.
The theory is broken.
Do you think? Okay, so Brad, you're on the other side of the spectrum, which I think it'll be. And I think again, we're all respect each other's opinions because we could be right or wrong. But in your opinion, Brad, if Biden wins and these things that Dylan was saying goes into effect, it does affect you directly. Are you of the mindset that we should spread money across the board, or do you think we should be a capitalistic society where capitalism reigns supreme? If we do good as a company and we have incentives to hire people, don't you think we would create more wealth in people than if we were restricted to do that? Right?
100%.
But don't you feel like potentially we could be restricted based on some of the political views of one party or the other?
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
The poorest people will be the most affected by the Biden cuts and things like that, and everybody thinks it's to help them, but it's hurting them more than, and that's what people always seem to not understand by this. All of those policies will make wealthy people wealthier, and that is really and it's completely, everyone just frames it opposite, in my opinion. So
can I I'm going to say something that's kind of like listen, again, I'm pretty neutral because I think they're all idiots. Yeah. But I have to look at the Democratic Party and ask, why the fuck can't you find a better candidate? Because look,
me too.
Trump won the first time because Hillary was such a bad candidate, to be fair, in my opinion. Hillary stole potentially the nomination over Bernie. I think if Bernie runs, Bernie wins that year, and he didn't. Things are a lot different. Trump came out and people were sick of the same old politics, and they voted for him because he was like, fuck it, I'm going to drain the swamp, whatever, right? And now people's opinions are being shaped, I think, less on fact and more on conjecture and just political stances, right? And I worry about that there isn't proper education. People are just making decisions without really understanding the repercussions sometimes. Would you agree with that, Dylan?
Well, here's the thing that I'll agree with about that is, if you look at any news media outlet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything is so censored that people aren't even getting to make their own opinion because it's just being hammered in what's being told. Every single, the amount of posts that I've seen censored online this year compared to any time in my lifetime, it's unbelievable. The stuff, and just like you sit there and go oh, we're not banning fracking, right? And then he's play the tape, and then it's there's 20 different videos of him playing the tape saying we're not doing any more fracking, we're getting rid of. But doesn't
it happen on both sides, bro? You know what I mean?
Sure, but Google, Facebook, Instagram, it's all blue, it's all liberal. So
but I think that these platforms, right, are just absolutely
mind-numbing.
Well, yes, but I mean, there's more users on Facebook, there's more users on Instagram, there's more users on Twitter this year, right? Probably than ever before, right? Yeah. And it continues to escalate like that and grow exponentially. And it's a platform for, people behind a curtain, which we don't know whether they're Republican, Democrat, this, that, Nazis or not, or whatever, right? We don't know. They're running essentially what you see, right? And based upon certain things you Google, you become like an algorithm. Or they have a special algorithm for you, and they're going to show you what you see and potentially sway your decision one way or another, depending who's funding that, right? And not to get all conspiracy theory, but I just think like Facebook, I've been on Facebook since 2007 or whatever, right? And a month ago or 2 months ago, I just deleted the tile on my phone, and it's been pretty nice, right? I mean, I still check it, probably once or twice a day, but not every 10 minutes, right? It's still on my phone, it's still installed, but I don't have it in front of me to click it because I just think so fucked up. And, what I hate, it drives me nuts. I just want to say this because I kept seeing it yesterday. It's like, whether you vote for Biden or Trump, I'll be your realtor, right? I'm like,
hate
shut
that.
the fuck up, dude. I fucking hate that shit. It's like, all right, dude.
All right, dude. Shut the fuck up.
It
Yeah.
was funny in 2016, the first time somebody said it and did a billboard of it, and I was like, "Oh, that's clever." And then every other,
Every other post, it's like, oh, you're so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah, the originality of our world
I'm sure someone's gonna use you.
Yeah, realtors don't really use original content. Like the first guy that does it, and then it gets plagiarized to shit, and then it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So so
I mean, that's just my thing, And then I saw someone else like edit it like in Microsoft Paint with like, I'll be your loan officer. It's like, all right, dude.
Shut up. All of you shut up. But again, freedom of speech. I'm like, here's my issue, Dylan. I'm a small government constitutionalist type of guy where I believe that our forefathers had certain ideas in their mind of how, the whole reason the United States exists. Can we just go through this? The whole reason the fucking country exists is because they were oppressed by a king and they never wanted to ever have big government choose the life of your people, right? And our government, unfortunately, has grown in size. It's like the biggest corporation in the world, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
And they have their hands in everything. But I don't think our forefathers, when they set out to create the country, that was not their intention. That's why you see states have more power than federals, because people want this. Like the original intention was govern yourselves from small government, municipalities, states. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a point today where the government's so big, they're kind of in everything. So like from a constitutional standpoint, I don't feel like our country is really like, it's like the intended, like the intention of the rule versus the execution of the rule. Social media is not a news outlet. It's a place for people to share thoughts. Fair enough, Mitch. Mitch is right. It's a place.
Yeah, but it's also a place to get advertised to, right? By political fucking cronies. That,
when there's money involved, bro, things happen, right?
Yeah.
My point, Dylan, is does either party represent what our forefathers originally intended?
See, if I would be a libertarian, if the only time I've ever been excited about a political candidate is Trump.
Yeah, because he's so contrarian and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want because I believe in it, or is it because you believe in all his policies, or do you believe he's a good, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I believe I believe that he is sick. Like, even you watch interviews of him like 20 or 30 years ago. He's like, I'm tired of watching the country get ripped off by every other country. And that resonates with me because you see it. Why do we have a military base on every single country around the world, and we're paying to protect all these other people? I just think that we should put
colonialism, right? I mean, that is true, but like, yes, like there is arguments for all that. Like, why are we meddling in other countries? Like, Brad, do you think, because again, do you think big government's good or big government's bad?
No, big government's bad. I think both parties suck.
There you go.
Both parties,
in that regard, right?
All they care about is power. Nobody cares really about policy and benefiting people. Both parties only care about winning for power. That's it. It's our political system is fucking
and to win, right? I mean, you have to identify with a party. I mean, you have to.
It sucks because it's not representative of the parties aren't representative of the people anymore. Like there isn't. For me personally, there's not a party that represents me because I'm pretty liberal when it comes socially, right? I don't give a flying shit what you do with your personal life. I don't care if you want to wear a skirt. I don't care if you want to wear a Dumbo outfit. I don't care if you look like Brad. It's your prerogative what you want to do, right? Like,
how's that mustache coming along, Paul?
I have not shaved. I did not shave. So I told you guys I'll try till Monday, but if it looks like shit, I'm shaving it. I'm not doing it.
No, you got to keep it.
I'm not.
What's the deal with Nebraska and Maine, right? With their congressional districts. I'm not like a. So
they're not a winner take all state. They split electoral delegates based on congressional districts. So you have like a big portion of Nebraska that's like a massive congressional district that awards a portion of the state's total delegates to whoever wins that, and then there's like one. I think it's a second congressional district in Nebraska that's like one electoral vote. It looks like they each got one for each district, right? Nebraska has 3 congressional districts, and Maine has 2. Yeah,
But
where the rest of the country is just winner.
I just got that little like interactive map up, and I've got them tied, which is interesting.
Sal
right?
and I went through the whole thing this year. There is a path right now to 269, right? Is that the number? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Depending on the
then it goes to the House.
Then it goes, and then everybody gets one vote. Right.
And then I think that's
would the popular vote then?
No.
It goes to Congress.
In Congress, if they
It'd
all
be a
get
shit
one
show.
vote,
More of a shit show than it is.
Why would it be a shit show?
Because it's going to be more scandal. It'll be an absolute.
It won't,
shit show.
because people will vote along party lines and the Republicans will win.
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
It won't be a shit show. It'll be very easy, actually.
Yeah,
I have an update.
Everybody gets one vote.
Oh, we have an update from Natalie. What's up, Natalie? Our correspondent coming from Washington D.C. Natalie, what's going on?
Michigan just switched to blue.
Dylan already announced that.
That's not an update.
Dylan already announced that.
They just got to 94%.
Okay,
So,
you still have 6%. Dylan, how you feeling right now? Do you feel like your boy's going to win, or do you feel like it's going to be really? You do. You still?
I don't think we're going to know today. I think it's going to go to legal stuff in court and things like that. So I mean, just like
so what does that do to the market if the market doesn't like uncertainty, right? If you don't know who won, what's going to happen to the market? Let's say this drags out for how long can it drag out?
See, the market just opened. Let's pull up some apps here.
Yeah, let's see what is the market, because the market kind of reacts. What's that?
I think the market's kind of baked in for this already. I think they kind of knew we weren't going to know last night.
No.
Everybody knew we weren't going to know last night.
People are betting one way or the other. The market doesn't work like that. If people don't know, money comes out of the market.
Yeah,
on the sidelines, right? People are betting, right? And if you look at the odds in Vegas, the odds for Trump winning were way down, then they were way up. So it's just kind of the same thing. The Dow's up 58 points, kind of like probably just chilling right now. Nobody's probably doing much, right?
Yeah.
So
it's so close. Everyone's waiting, right? Which,
bro. Everything's on hold.
Up or down. I think it's kind of showing like the path of everything going. It was initially up, and I think right before market open, when you said that it flipped blue, it dropped like 150 points. So we'll see what happens. I mean, and a lot of companies are coming out with earnings in the next week or so, right? And there's big announcements in the market. It's a very, very interesting time for the stock market.
Brad, do you think a Democratic win is good or bad for the economy?
In the short term, probably bad. Long term, good.
How so?
Because I think the market's going to overreact, and it's going to take a long time to undo some of the policies that we have. So,
like what policies?
Like the corporate tax cuts. It's going to take a long time to undo a lot of the executive orders and things that have been undone. And with coronavirus, who knows what's going to happen? I think no matter what, the economy is going to take a hit over the fourth quarter and first quarter of next year. No matter who's president, it's going to take a hit.
But Brett, okay, so taxation now, right? Like, let's talk about taxation. My buddy lives out in the Bay Area. Hold on. My buddy lives out in the Bay Area.
I didn't know we were a political podcast.
We're not, but I'm just talking about taxation. And like, my buddy lives out in the Bay Area, and they had that max $10,000 on property tax rule that went through, right? Well, in the Bay Area, he paid $200,000 in property taxes, right? Now, on top of his higher tax bracket, because he does well. By the way, but because of the standard of living there, it's not as well as you think, right? Like, it costs a lot more to live there, but he gets taxed a lot, bro, a lot. Like, I've seen it, right? And does it make sense for a guy, because he does well for himself, that he has to pay more tax, even if it's the same? Let's say everybody paid a flat 25%, right? That person that made $1 million is still paying way more into the system. But now we're saying, no, you've got to make up for the people that make less money. So you got to pay 40% tax, and the other guy only pays 15%. How is that fair in your opinion, Brad?
Because the person making $20,000 a year can't afford to pay a 50% tax or a 20% tax.
But why wouldn't it be static?
They can't even afford to live.
But why wouldn't it be static? Why wouldn't it be 25% across the board? Why should the successful have to pay for people that need probably some help, right? Why do we live in a society where the haves have to help the have-nots? We don't have to do that. That's not capitalism by design.
So a lot of times these people that are very well off, have done it off the backs of the people that are not so well off, right? And
wait a minute.
Wage depression.
So you're going to go off of
that's what I'm saying. We're not a political podcast.
I know, but you're going to go off of what people might or might not do with the rule. Anyways, all right, we'll get off that. We'll get off that.
We treat our people really well. We pay our people really well. So I'm not worried about us because we do the right thing. Most companies don't. Most companies pay starvation wages. People can't live off of them and then expect to tax them.
Who do you know who's getting paid starvation wages? Go ahead, Dylan.
All I can say is if you went to a real estate office and said, all right, guys, we're all just, because in every real estate office, 20% of the people do 80% of the business.
Sure. Yep.
So we all just go and get one big bucket and toss all our cash in there and say, you don't like to work, here you go. You have some, you have some, you have some, you have some. I mean, that's the most.
Well, it depends, Dylan, to be fair to Brad's point. It depends what you believe about your ship, right? Let's say you're on a ship that you believe in. Yeah. You're willing to give money back on because you want that ship to succeed, right? Like, let's say in our business, right? Sal, Brad, myself probably could make more money if we didn't give back to the ship so much, right? And
you guys make money because you do give back to the ship, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said that, like, look, you've got to treat your people well, but I don't want to treat strangers well. Let me treat my people well. Let me keep that money in my hand and take care of my people, Brad. But you're solving for bad people, right? But we're not solving for good people.
Well, if we enacted that policy of everybody gets a participation trophy always at our real estate office, every single person would leave that the top 20% people would leave in one day. You lose every single one of them, and they go.
Like if your top guy made as much as your bottom guy, there's no incentive to be the top guy.
Yeah, if your bottom guy had the best split and your top guy had the worst split, he would have never even spent 1 second.
Is that how capitalism works? Is that how it works? Yeah. But then again, but Dylan, I say all this stuff, but there's a myriad of things I can't say on the other side, right? There's no right or wrong answer in my opinion. There's just opinions, right? I don't know. So we'll get off the political thing, but it is going to be really interesting. Do you think, last question on this, Dylan, let's say tomorrow Biden's president, right? How does that change your life or in your business, Dylan?
It's not going to affect me. It's going to affect the poorest people in the country.
How so?
Because the people that it's going to make everything more expensive. Inflation is going to increase. We can't keep spending like we do. Look at the money that is flooded into the markets. Your dollar is worth so much less post coronavirus. The more
but it's
dollars,
it's still the strongest currency, bro.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It is, but it's unbelievable the amount that our stuff is getting devalued. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep buying as much real estate as I possibly can so that I don't ever pay taxes, and that's it. Right,
Sal, do you think real estate does well no matter what happens, or do you think it gets affected one way or the other?
Well, I think that aside from this election, there's just facts, right? And a fact being
facts.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who want to buy real estate, and there's not a lot of real estate, right? At least like in the normal, like non-investor spectrum, right? Just the normal, home buyer. I think that it's still going to be a strong market. I mean, it's supply and demand, right? Unless for some reason the absolute bottom falls out of the stock market or something like that, which again, I mean, I think you're going to see, to Brad's point, like if Biden wins, I think that, it's stock market's going to go red for a week or two, right? And then we'll stabilize. And if Trump wins, it's probably going to go green for a while and then stabilize. So it's all, I think, just at this moment, like a lot of reaction. And the results will slowly play out over time.
What's funny that I've noticed, guys, is that like the country's so divided, right? That you have all this, like the news, first of all, is just so hard to fucking stomach. I can't watch it. But the country's so divided and everybody's so visceral. And then I just talk to humans on the street and I talk to my friends and I talk to people around me. People have differing opinions, but everybody respects each other, right? It happens, right? I think the majority of people are in that boat where, Dylan, I can't fault you for your views. Brad, I can't fault you for yours. Everybody's opinion entitled to their opinion. But the media, I believe, has created the division even deeper. And I think it's kind of ugly and it's nasty. It's all based on profits from the media side because it sells, right? It sells to say that these people hate each other and there's fighting. Where did Dylan go?
I'm here.
All right.
My laptop's going to die. Hold on. Let me plug it in.
Okay. All right. Plug it in. I mean, Dylan, you went to like a function, right? What did you notice at the rally that you went to? Were people like really divisive, or were they kind of like, all right, well, this is what we believe in, but I think when you get people in groups, people's mentality, the mob mentality takes over, and people start acting really fucked up, right?
Everybody was polite, everybody was respectful. The people that were at the Trump rallies were, they're the blue collar people. They're the people that are, working class Americans. And that was the thing. It wasn't, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is just trying to make everything for the rich. It's like, I just believe it's the exact opposite. He's making more opportunities for people, across the board, especially, the more blue collar working class Americans. And
you see it in our area. You see it in our area, right? Macomb County, which is historically very manufacturing heavy, right? They've got a lot of plants there, a lot of car companies there. And it is very blue collar. The east side is very blue collar compared to like Oakland County here in the area. So we've got Oakland County, Wayne County, and Macomb County. Macomb County is a suburb. Oakland County is a suburb. You got Wayne County where Detroit is, right? Yeah. And Macomb County is Trump country, and they are very blue collar, right? Yeah. So, Brad, how do you explain that? How do you explain the fact that blue collar people are so like pro Trump?
I don't even
are they uneducated people? You think?
Yes.
So you think that all people in manufacturing are uneducated?
No, that's my saying.
Did you just say that on the
show? There's a lot of things that go into it. There's a lot of brainwashing. If you watch a lot of
brainwashing, people are brainwashing.
There is. There's depending on what news network people watch, you are getting a lot of brainwashing. Like, that's what media is.
Is it all media brainwashing? Like, is there a good media source that's very
there really
neutral?
Isn't.
NPR used to be neutral. No, it's not. It's liberal.
No.
Right? Where can you go to get actual news without any like bias, right? You can't really.
Yeah, it's really hard to find.
Yeah. So that's people that are listening to the show come here for the unbiased truth in politics. No, sorry, wrong show. Wrong show. So Dylan, give me a plan of action going forward for 2020. Do you think we have a good winner real estate wise, a hard winner real estate wise? What do you think?
Well, I think the reason real estate has done so well is because, when you're idiotically locked down in your home for no reason all year, you're going to want to have a better house. You're going to want to have this home office. And that's what I've seen is, prices have just gone up. People have, home ownership's become more popular. Nobody wants that to happen again. People want a backyard for their dogs. So I think real estate's going to just be another driving force for the economy, no matter what.
I agree with that.
And here's the other thing. Even though Trump is less likely to want lockdowns, I think if Biden wins, they'll immediately wipe the whole coronavirus from the face of the earth. And the television script will completely flip. Everybody's going to be happy and everything will be special that exact day.
Your sarcasm is duly noted.
Everybody can take their No, I'm serious. Biden will say, "Oh, well, the virus is gone. I'm president now. Everything's going to go back to normal." And things will go back to normal quicker if Biden wins, but it will not be good for our country.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think to your point, and I think everybody can agree with this, I think the coronavirus and lockdowns probably have more effect on the housing market than the political parties do right now. And if we go on lock, think about this, dude. In Michigan, I was thinking about this when it's cold outside. It's really nice the past few days. Yeah. But when it gets cold and people are inside, the numbers of the virus are going to go up. Fear is probably going to go up. We're probably going to have potentially lockdown situations. And again, we're going to be in a situation where if you're living in a home that you don't like, you want to get out of there. And if you're living in a home that you like, you want to fix it up, right? Because you're not going to be there. You're going to be there for quite some time. So I don't disagree with you. I think that's a big part of it. All right, Dylan, we're running out of time, so we're going to do 3 questions. Is there anything you want to hit on topic-wise before we get to 3 questions?
Not necessarily.
By the way, Dylan has a helicopter, and it's cool as fuck. I just want everybody to know that.
So that's been, what's funny is we started that business this year, the helicopter tour business.
Yeah.
Right after Kobe.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So Kobe dies in a helicopter.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. Yeah. And then I text Dylan because Dylan's like, these things can't crash. I can float it down.
Like before. Yeah. We were like, you're like, yeah, let's do a flight. Right. And
I'm like, what happens if you lose power? He's like, well, you can float it down. There's tactics. I mean, obviously that didn't work for Kobe and his crew. But
they're flying in the fog. I mean,
they ran into a mountain.
Well, fog is you just can't do it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
instrument rated, so I'm allowed to fly in the fog. I would never do it in a million
You
years.
still wouldn't do it, right? It's just not
not
helpful.
a chance.
Sure.
It's
You're
not,
not flying high enough to do that.
the thing is an airplane's inherently stable. So if you just kind of let it do its thing, an airplane just kind of coast along, right?
Yeah.
A helicopter, if I let go of anything for a second, we're upside down.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's where,
yeah.
so if you can't see and you think you're making a right turn, but you're really making a left, you'll loop it over and then it'll be unrecoverable. So
Once you loop over, it's done. I got it.
yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. But essentially, I just, if you're ever going to go on a helicopter, just make sure that it's a nice day. And that's the only time I do sightseeing tours. So, we go out and it's nice out. But
Dylan, since he's gotten that, like before, he's like, he's a pilot and he's like, we're going to go up. Kobe thing happened, and I stopped returning Dylan's calls. Did the business do all right even through that, though? I'm just curious.
Yeah. You know what? So during Easter, everybody was told you're not allowed to go out and even pick Easter eggs in your friends' houses. So what I did is I ran a Facebook ad, and we had people deliver lasagna trays of Easter eggs to my hangar, and then we flew over people's houses and dropped them. So we had 22 stops. We made $200 or $300 a house. It took 4 hours, and we flew around and dropped Easter eggs in people's backyards. So I did a lot
funny. As a real estate agent, nobody can really compare with that. Like, hey, what did you do for Easter? I dropped Easter eggs from my helicopter. Right.
I was gonna do candy for Halloween, but a $70 part broke on the helicopter. It cost $20,000 to fix, and it's been in the shop for 6 months or 6 weeks.
Dude,
Man.
think about that. Like, we get mad when our Benz has like they got to get in there and do like something on it, right? Because it's expensive. Helicopter,
like that. I mean, imagine that how that engine's crammed into that little spot. I mean, they got to take it all apart, right?
Yeah, so it's just an inconvenient spot where the part is. It's not even something that moves. It had a hairline crack in it that they found during routine maintenance. They're like, oh. And in this model of the engine, there's an access panel on the airplane version of this engine, so you can get to this part. But there's not on mine, so you had to pull the tail cone off, tail rotor drive shaft, engine out, split the engine cases, slide this thing in, and that was, and then put it all back together. It's like,
bro,
it's like 100 hours of labor.
It's always the case, right? A gasket costs like 30 cents, but it's on the back of the engine. It's crammed in. I mean,
you'd think people would like figure out that, hey, let's make everything accessible like Legos.
Well, then the car wouldn't look as nice, right? Or be as agile or as fast or whatever, right?
Fair.
So
yeah, who cares about actual performance? Let's make it look cool. Like for me, like taking something apart that's intricate and putting it back together is more dangerous than a fucking hairline crack, in my opinion.
I think that Dylan knows, right? He didn't buy the helicopter understanding it wouldn't.
Dylan, we're gonna wait a little bit before we get up there. Make sure that thing's put together right. You go up there and test it.
Yeah.
All right, 3 questions. 3 questions. All right. Tomorrow morning, you wake up in Joe Biden's body, and you have to live in it for the next month, right? What do? You
mean old Corn Pop?
Yep.
Where Corn Pop was
you're actually in his body, and you're Corn Pop. I don't even know what that means. But, oh, Jesus Christ!
If I wake up in his body,
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
God.
So now you're with him for a month. You're a full-on Democrat, and you're living in his body. What do you do, other than kill yourself?
See, I'd say I'd act like an idiot, and
that doesn't work. The country doesn't care about that anymore.
Yeah, no.
Everybody's an idiot.
When you watch the guy talk, and you just go, no, how can anybody vote for him? He doesn't even know what he's saying.
But people say the same thing about Trump. You can say the same thing about Trump.
Yeah, not the same. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do I do? You can't kill yourself.
You can't kill yourself.
I'd probably, gosh. Yeah, I don't know. You got me on that one.
Man, Dylan Tent has no words. He cannot fathom waking up in Joe Biden's body.
I mean, if you want, I think you just be president and do your job. I
kind of see what that's like, right?
I mean, I don't think like Joe Biden's going to go in there and like start pressing like nuclear.
I feel like press conferences would be a lot more interesting.
I'd go fuck around. I'd go learn all the secrets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting to me.
Give me that what is that? Area 51 info and all that shit, right?
Yeah, we'd find out what's happening with Bill Clinton on Epstein's Island, and Tom, the deep state.
Epstein voted yesterday. I think he voted Republican.
Yeah. Yeah,
Brad is just having a conniption.
And Kennedy Jr. is not dead, right?
Yeah, Brad.
I saw that one. That one was pretty
Fucking
convincing.
Brad, what
Christ,
would you do
dude.
if you woke up in Trump's body?
Shoot myself?
You can't.
Jeez.
You can't. What do you? I mean, you'd be dead. First of all.
You were-
Second
first
of all,
you'd be married to Melania.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You wouldn't want to shoot yourself.
But you wouldn't want to take
Maybe
your
she
shirt
doesn't
off.
want to touch him, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Body wise, it wouldn't be that different for you.
True.
Oh man.
True.
Dylan, if you could play one sport professionally, what would it be and why?
It'd probably be when you just say play professionally, do you get to be like, the best guy?
No, bro.
You'd be like the kicker on.
You're whatever you want to be. Yeah, you could be whatever you want to be. You could be the star athlete. You could be the guy in the back. You want to be a star athlete? You tell me what you want, bud. It's your wish.
Yeah, it'd be probably Formula One or MotoGP.
Yeah, I could see you doing that. Yeah,
And
Formula One's crazy.
Would be preferable, but there's Formula One's pretty sexy.
Yeah, I mean, Formula One actually is one of the highest grossing sports in the world.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money. Like, we probably don't see it here, but those French drivers, they make a ton, right?
Yeah,
No, dude. I mean,
it's going for what?
yeah.
Look what they do. Of
For
course.
$40 million a year at Mercedes.
Live in Monaco and be sponsored by Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
pretty sweet, dude.
right? Yeah,
I don't think you can really beat that.
yeah. All right, and then next question is, what do you think is going to be the biggest storyline in 2021?
Hopefully, there's not a big storyline. We've had too many. We lost Sean Connery, right?
God bless his soul. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Connery's. Hopefully, it's just a normal year, regardless of who wins. Hopefully, just everything calms down.
When's the last time we had a normal year, bro? Tell me when the last time we had a normal year was.
1999.
Right? Right? I mean, it's been a long time since we had a normal year. I don't think there is I think abnormal is normal now, right?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Well,
I think
in 2001, the world changed forever, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that
that
was
is true.
the
End of innocence.
to a degree, right? I mean,
I don't.
I remember them saying that then, and I mean, I was like in 7th grade. I'm like, okay, I mean, it was an attack, like obviously.
I was
I was in 7th.
You were in
I was
college?
7th.
Oh,
But
fuck.
you think about it, and you're like, all these things that have happened since then, and all the distrust and separation between the people. And mind you, it's not like it didn't exist before, but I think that the 90s were the last quote unquote golden age, right? And we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's another one, right?
I personally think world conflict is going to be a lot in the news. I think there's a lot of things that people aren't hearing right now because of what's going on locally and domestically. But Turkey's doing some fucked up shit. Syria's doing fucked up shit, right? There's like fucked up shit all across the country. Not saying that we should be involved in it. I don't think, but I think there are going to be conflicts that are going to affect us that we're going to have to get involved in right now, right? I have a buddy of mine who's Greek, and right now Turkey's doing some really, really fucked up shit to Greece and trying to take land over. And he's voting based on who's going to do what's best for Greece, what he believes will be best for that. He doesn't know for sure, but I think world conflict is not going to get better. I think Trump has had a good way of dealing with world conflict that has kept people kind of at bay. I think if Biden is president, that we'll see actually surprisingly a harder line when it comes to conflict militarily, right? As weird as that sounds, I think I think Biden will be worse for military conflict, meaning that we'll have more.
Trump's the president of peace. We've had more, the first president not to start a war in 40 years.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I do think that world conflict's gonna be a big part of 2021. I hope it's not. But I think we're kind of headed that way. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to add for election Super Wednesday?
I drove up north to go ride my dirt bike today in celebration of Trump's landslide. Hasn't
It
been a
looked like, what was interesting about the last few things? What was really interesting is that how many Trump voters voted in person and how many Biden people voted by mail-in, right? I wonder what what is the is there like something in like Biden people that are like, I'm just gonna mail this in, and something in Trump people that are like, I'm gonna go there? I don't understand why that would be different.
The fear of being anywhere near people that doesn't have a mask on.
Yeah, but I went and voted in person, and it was very sanitary. It was at the city hall. Like, you're telling me that you know what I mean? That it was, I had my mask on and I filled out my ballot. So you're saying that Democrats, Brad, more than Republicans, it's a mask thing and a coronavirus thing?
Yeah.
There's fear in the eyes of the Democrats. I haven't worn a mask once this whole time.
Yeah, bro. But Dylan, be careful with that, man, because I do think we're gonna have people, like, I've heard people dying that I know, like, which is surprising that it's hitting that close to home, and it's real. People are gonna die because of coronavirus. There's no way around it, right?
And the flu and drunk driving and.
But here's the thing, Dylan. Like, it's not up to me to decide. Like, what it's like smoking in a nursery, right? I might want to have a cigarette in the nursery, but I don't want to like hurt these kids because they're innocent, right? It's not up to me to decide what I can't impose my will on other people's free will.
Yeah,
right? I'd rather protect them.
That. You know, the mask doesn't. We all know the mask doesn't do anything, so that's where that's the idiotic.
Dylan, don't do that, Dylan. No, I'm kidding.
And that's why the Trump voters went to the polls and the Democrats didn't.
You say that no Democrats went to the polls, bro?
I didn't.
Mostly didn't.
I voted in person, but not on election day because it was just I didn't want to go wait in line. I had shit to do, so I voted like 3 days ago. But
isn't it crazy the first time Trump won, how like the Trump movement was covert and was quiet, and you rarely saw like Trump signs out, but like, you know, they went out and voted.
I disagree. I thought there was more Trump signs last time than this time.
Not a chance, bro. Well, I'm in Novi. People have like, there's like people with flags, big signs. Like over here where I live, it wasn't like this last time. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Billboards in their front yards.
I would say there's less signs this time because people are afraid of their house getting vandalized if they have a Trump sign.
I beg to differ. I've seen more.
I see way more
than we did the first time. So
I drove 44,000 miles this year and the year of the election last time. So
you might have us beat on that, Rob. I mean, you might have some better eyes on the streets than we do.
And I have you know, I have real estate business that's all over every single county, all over the place. So I don't know. I'm saying I can call it. There's more enthusiasm for the people that do have signs out now, like the hardcore Trumpers, they're going to the flags and every single thing that you can imagine, the hat. But I would say there's other people, there's more closet Trumpers than you think because they don't want to get their houses egged and vandalized and their stores looted and, you know.
Last question before we let you go, man. What local markets here in Michigan do you think are going to perform well, regardless of who wins? I mean, what local markets, like we always talk about emerging markets, are we seeing more people move to rural areas? Are we seeing more?
So.
Yeah. So you're going to see it more.
Try to go buy a house in Livingston County right now for like $200 to $400. I mean, I know that's like everywhere, $200 to $400, but there's just nothing. Anything with property.
Yeah. And with people working remotely, they don't really necessarily have to live near their work anymore. So I think the biggest growth will be in the rural areas, in my opinion, because it is tough to find a house at a good price. Like Sal in Royal Oak, right? Like how hard is it to find a house for $200,000 that's livable in Royal Oak right now?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's definitely small.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like 900 square foot.
What's that?
It's rough. I've got something looking out there right now. It's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think real estate, regardless of all this, is going to stay pretty solid. I mean, it's just a supply and demand thing, right?
Yep. Real estate's going to perform well. It always does, except for a few anomalous situations like 2008. That was pretty anomalous. Real estate's going to do just fine, everybody. But listen, Dylan, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you, dude.
Yeah, you know what? Follow me on Instagram or especially TikTok now, Heli Realtor.
By the way, TikTok's a place of happiness. I love TikTok.
It's way better than everything.
Yeah.
And they post now.
How good is the algorithm on TikTok? It fucking knows what you want to see. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, not to get off topic here, but the markets are like surging.
Really?
Yeah. That was up 400 points.
400?
Yep.
This just proves to me that the market gives zero fucks.
I mean, I got my little like investment account open, like waiting to dump or waiting to buy, right? And like it's doing pretty good. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's up 388 points right now. So, all right, guys, listen, it'll be interesting to see. Dylan, we'll have you on post-election. Where'd you go, Dylan? All right. We'll have you back on post-election to see if you're still around. Guys, if you want to get a hold of Dylan, depending on who wins, he might not be around much longer. He might be moving to Cuba. I don't know. So have a good one, guys. Anything left, guys? Anybody want to say anything?
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, be good, dude.
Talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
So Dylan's a smart kid. He's done. I was always impressed by him. Obviously, he's got his views, Brad, and you're.
Well, I like that he does things that he looks at a situation and can make some money, right? Buying a couple Airbnbs, buying
PPEs
because of the coronavirus, right? And the PPE sales. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? A lot of people just kind of sat there and took the time off or whatever, right? And worked. People, especially like when you're self-employed, right? Like in your head, you think that's like your one thing you can do. Well, I should say, especially when you are employed, right? Probably.
Yeah, well, when you're employed,
I'm off work or whatever, right? And you get earning a wage for the time you work. But like,
yes,
I think he realizes how to utilize his time and when to take time off and have fun, right? But
yeah,
I mean, should he do helicopter tours, selling fucking gloves? I mean, buying
but
Airbnb,
it goes to show
real
you.
estate. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean,
it goes to show you though.
I think that is a fun life, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of his views. I mean, he lives his life to the fullest, and I think that's what everyone needs to do.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being honest, right? I think I'd rather have someone that sits in front of me that I don't agree with, but it's honest, than someone that agrees with me and pretends like they agree with me, and then behind my back they're talking shit, right? Like transparency to me is okay. Like fuck it, I don't care. Like I know where you stand, and I'm okay with it. Like then it's just like, but if you are like, oh yeah, I'm into that, like you're covert and like you really aren't into it, and like those people are not people that, even if they agree with you, they're really not cool to be around. So I will be interested to see what happens. Yeah, it is wild. I will tell you that I do love people that are opportunists, because there is opportunity in every market. What happens is when markets shift and people are used to doing X, like let's say they work on the line at Ford and their line shuts down. Well, they go home and sit down and don't think about other ways to make money. If you're out there listening, just know that in every negative situation, people will be making money, right? Like people during Corona were like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This kid was like, I'm going to sell PPE, right? He found an opportunity in that crisis. And there are opportunities. So if you are working at a W-2 employment, or you had a job and they shut you down, or they're going to shut you down because of Corona, don't feel like you're helpless. Everybody, like that's the capitalism. That's the beauty of it, is you can make money in a lot of different ways, right? You can buy stuff from, like, literally go buy something from Walmart and put it up on Amazon and make $10. It's crazy, but it's true. So don't just sit on your hands. There's opportunities out there. Do you agree, Brad?
Yeah, don't sit on your hands.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Would you agree that would you agree that the general population is waiting for a handout, and because they're Democratic?
No.
I love you guys. We are good. So all of you that are listening, thank you for listening. I know it's a longer show. If you guys listen this far, thank you. We appreciate you. Go ahead and go to any podcast app, iTunes. Please, like, share, subscribe, give us a review. It really helps us out. Go to our Facebook page, like our page. That's Facebook.com/IREpodcast.com. If you have questions for us, you can send us questions on there. But other than that, God bless everybody. And we will endure whatever happens, and we will all still be here tomorrow, regardless of what happens. So I love you all.
We won't be here tomorrow. Not till next week.
No, but you know what's funny? Our podcast will always go on. We've been doing this so long that no matter what happens, we're going to do our podcast. So we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
See you guys. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.